Yes. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishri Panchakalptarubhyascha Asandubhyascha Patitanam Pavanebhyo. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram. So last week we have discussed about some of the principles of family as a parent. What is our duty? Then we discussed the holistic personality of the child, the 4 dimensions of child's personality. So we will discuss that in detail. This child protection topic is for pre-Gurukula Acharya training, but because it is relevant for parenting, so we will discuss that. So not going in the aspects of child protection, maybe this we can discuss in another session, but specifically about, what do you prefer? You want to discuss about child protection, or before that we should understand the child's personality? Yes. Okay, so we have discussed the child is holistic personality is in 4 dimensions. One is the physical aspect, then on the platform of mind is emotional aspect, or the function of thinking, feeling and willing. Then on the platform of intelligence, the intellectual aspect, the capacity to discern between right and wrong, and the spiritual aspect. So all of you understand what does that refer to? What is physical, what is emotional, what is intellectual, and what is spiritual. We discussed some of the details about this in the previous session last week. And we have also discussed that the holistic personality of the child, what will be his physical personality, what will be his emotional personality, or what will be his or her intellectual or spiritual personality. That depends on 3 factors. One is the previous births of the child, another is the family line, and the third one is the experiences. We have discussed these 3 factors in detail. And we have also discussed that the previous births and family line, they are already done. So we cannot do anything about that. That is beyond our control. And the experiences that the child will go through, they are partially controllable. That also we cannot control fully. But till the expect we can control, we must try to give such experiences to the child which will lead to development of love for Krishna. If that we can do, then I would say we have done our part as parents, because other things are beyond our control. But there are measures and means through which the things which are beyond our control, that can also be taken care. So we will discuss about those things. So for previous births and for family line, the means to remove the anarthas are through the samskaras, the purificatory rituals. Mainly there are 16 samskaras, and the purpose of these samskaras is to get rid of the anarthas that the child has from his or her previous births and from the family line. So as we understand that every individual comes with his or her own baggage of goods and bads. So every child also has their own baggage. And for the experiences, for example, when Krishna was in the form of a baby, and there were very so-called bad experiences in the form of so many demons were coming. So that was beyond the control of Nand Maharaj and Yashoda Mai, but they chanted some protection mantras to protect Krishna from those bad experiences which were beyond their control. So as we understand that as human beings, we have limited capacity, but there are demigods which are more powerful than us. And there are different energies of Krishna. And there are means given in the scriptures how to take shelter of those superior energies, which can help us to get rid of those bad experiences. And whatever contamination we have accumulated, we are so fortunate that we know the means to cleanse all those contaminations is chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Cheto Darpan Marjana. So all the contaminations that we have accumulated or our children have accumulated in millions of birth times or through the family line, they all can be eradicated through chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So there are various protection mantras that Mother Yashoda was chanting. They are those evil influences, those bad experiences are called as balagrahas. And these are some of the protection mantras that Mother Yashoda chanted. This is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 6, text 19 to 38, I think. We will see that. So I will just read the translations. And then if you want the Sanskrit verses, you can refer to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 6. Thereafter, Mother Yashoda and Rohini, along with the other elderly gopis, waved about the switch of a cow to give full protection to the child Sri Krishna. So whenever you visit any Goshala, they ask you to do certain things. One is they ask that you touch the switch of the cow, the tail, the hairs in the tail of the cow on your head or forehead. So that also protects us from the bad influences. The child was thoroughly washed with cow urine and then smeared with the dust raised by the movements of the cows. Then different names of the Lord were applied with the cow dung on 12 different parts of his body, just like we apply tilak, beginning with the forehead, as done in applying tilak. In this way, the child was given protection, so that we know every day we do applying tilaks on 13 different parts, 12, and then last one, Anshika. That is for our protection, that when we apply tilak, we chant some mantras, right? Om Keshvaya Namah, Om Madhvaya Namah, Om Narayana. So that mantra is for protection. May Lord Keshava protect me from forehead, like that. So I think those meanings are also given somewhere. I don't remember where, but anyone of you knows? Maybe you can find out. The gopis first executed the process of achaman, just like we do before applying tilak. Drinking a sip of water from the right hand, they purified their bodies and hands with the nyasa mantra and then applied the same mantra upon the body of the child. Gopis, following the proper system, protected Krishna, their child, with this mantra. May Aja protect your legs. May Maniman protect your knees. Yagya, your thighs. Achyuta, the upper part of your waist. and Hayagriva your abdomen. May Keshava protect your heart, Isha your chest, the sun god your neck, Vishnu your arms, Urukrama your face, and Ishvara your head. So from leg to head, just like when we do deity worship or we do darshan, we do from leg to upwards, from the lotus feet to upwards. May Chakri protect you from the front. May Shri Hari, Gadadhari, the carrier of the club, protect you from the back. And may the carrier of the bow, who is known as the enemy of Madhu, and Lord Ajana, the carrier of the sword, protect your two sides. May Lord Urugaya, the carrier of the conch shell, protect you from all corners. May Upendra protect you from above. May Garuda protect you on the ground. And may Lord Haladhara, the Supreme Person, protect you on all sides. So covering everywhere. All the four directions, front, back, up, down, everywhere. May Rishikesha protect your senses and Narayana your life air. May the master of Shvetadvip protect the core of your heart, and may Lord Yogeshwara protect your mind. So not only the body, not only the external environment, but internally also our senses and mind. May Lord Prishnigarbha protect your intelligence. So from physical existence to emotional existence to intellectual existence. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead, your soul, so the spiritual existence. While you are playing, may Govinda protect you. And while you are sleeping, may Madhava protect you. May Lord Vaikuntha protect you while you are walking. And may Lord Narayana, the husband of the goddess of fortune, protect you while you are sitting. Similarly, may Lord Yajnabhuk, the fearful enemy of all evil planets, always protect you while you enjoy life. So every time, when you are walking, when you are sitting, when you are sleeping, every time, may Lord protect you. The evil witch is known as Dakinis, Yatudhanis, and Kushmandas are the greatest enemies of children, and the evil spirits like Bhutas, Pretas, Pishachas, Yakshas, Rakshasas, and Vinayakas, as well as witches like Kotara, Revti, Jeshta, Putana, and Matraka, are always ready to give trouble to the body, the life air, and the senses, causing loss of memory, madness, and bad dreams. Like the most experienced devil spirits, they all create great disturbances, especially for children, but one can vanquish them simply by uttering Lord Vishnu's name. Or when Lord Vishnu's name resounds, all of them become afraid and go away. Hare Krishna. Very powerful. So these are some of the mantras from 19 to 29. Canto 10, chapter 6, text 19 to 29. So this is for what is beyond our control. So whatever is beyond our control, we can take shelter of superior energies of Krishna. And whatever is controllable, which we can control, for that, we will discuss one by one. So as we understand, all the experiences we have or the child has comes from our five senses. Whatever we hear or we see or we touch or we taste or smell, that gives us the experiences of various things in this world. So having understood that all the experiences are coming through our five senses, then there are some destructive actions and some destructive behaviors which can be done by the child himself or herself, especially when children are very small infants. They hurt themselves sometimes. So those destructive actions and behaviors can come from the child, or it may come from the friends of the children, from a school or from nearby locality, or it may come from other class fellows who are not friends, but they are studying together, class fellows, classmates, playfellows, playmates, so they are playing together or studying together. Or it may be from other children in the school which are not from their class, but they are from the same school or from the same nearby locality. Sometimes it also comes from parents. Should I say sometimes or most of the times? Maybe different from, it may differ in different families. Yeah, in some families, mostly it comes from parents and relatives, but we are fortunate not in our families. So, but yeah, sometimes from parents, relatives, even teachers. In most of the schools, we understand from teachers, other school staffs, maids and servants also in our home. Especially, we heard so many stories when both the parents are working and the child is with the servants, maids or servants, then the child has very bad experiences many times. Then people in residential localities like shopkeepers, vendors, neighbors, and the strangers. So these are some of the sources from where the child may get bad experiences, some destructive actions or behaviors from any of these. Apart from that, television is the most prominent, and nowadays it is internet and mobile, different websites, apps, social media, emails. Sometimes there are those kind of emails and those SMS messages, and now WhatsApp also. Then in print media also, we understand so many bad experiences we get when we read newspapers or magazines or certain books. Most of the advertisements, most of the hoardings. So as we understand the 4 dimensions of child's personality, so these destructive actions and behaviors, they affect all the dimensions of our child's personality: physical aspect or emotional aspect or intellectual or spiritual, or maybe more than one, or maybe all. So we can categorize them accordingly, calling them physical abuse, emotional abuse, intellectual abuse, and spiritual abuse. And yeah, so I said that as we understood that our child or any living entity has 4 dimensional existence: physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual. So these perils or these destructive experiences can be in either of the 4 dimensions. It can be a physical abuse, or an emotional abuse, or an intellectual abuse, or spiritual abuse, or it can be a combination of more than one dimensions, or it can be affecting all the 4 dimensions of the child's personality. Now, what is abusive and what is not abusive, that is also subjective. For some, killing an animal is not a bad experience. For some, it is horrible experience. So what is bad experience for the child, what is not bad experience, that also depends on family to family. And from individual to individual also sometimes. So for physical abuse, so many things are available. especially about sexual abuse. So many resources are available about good touch, bad touch. So we will not discuss in detail about those things. If you want to know, there are so many resources. Um, Other physical abuses may include scratching, biting, pushing, slapping, kicking, choking or strangling, and throwing things, force feeding or denying food, and feeding unhealthy or contaminated food, malnutrition, malpractices in medical or health treatments, sexual abuse, of course, then using weapons or objects that could hurt, then physically restraining, sometimes pinning against a wall or floor or bed, etc., or reckless driving, or any act which may hurt or threaten the child, or not providing sufficient facilities for their physical development. All these may include physical abuse. And we discussed these can come from the child himself or herself. This may come from the parents. This may come from siblings, from class, school, from neighborhood, from strangers, anywhere. There are certain objects which may also cause physical harm. Some furnitures which has edges, sharp edges, usually tables which have sharp corners. The children get hurt. Sometimes the doors, maybe most of us have the experience. The small children, they put their finger on the door where it closes and then they get hurt. Or it can be doorways or pathways or vehicles. Vehicles, of course. Then other sharp edges, heights, inflammables, certain medicines and drugs, toiletries, because children are in the annamaya stage. Whatever they see, they want to eat. They don't know what is eatable and what is not eatable. But because they are in annamaya stage, they want to eat everything. So certain toiletries are harmful if it is approachable by children. Wind, flowing water, contaminated food, unhealthy food like junk food or allergic food, and weapons. Of course, these are some of the objects which may cause physical harm. So how we can protect? Some of the measures can be when we understand that certain people are more likely to cause harm to our children in any of the above ways we have discussed. So we should try to keep our children away from such people as far as possible and such objects which may be harmful. Second thing, we should train our children to protect themselves because it is not possible for us to be with them every time. And when we are not with them, they may hurt themselves. So we should train them that how they can protect themselves, what is harmful, and when they have such things around, if there is fire around or if there is flowing water or if you are on a height, how to protect yourself, we can train them. And we can inform them about if you don't behave in a particular way, then you may get hurt. How to teach them? By your own behavior. They learn by seeing, right? We have discussed this in detail many times. Children, they don't learn by hearing. You tell them don't touch fire, they will not hear, they will not learn, they will not understand. We have to teach them by our own example. So how we act in front of them, they want to act the same way. One of the problem here is if we just tell them to perform certain behavior. For example, if the wall painting is going on and if the color is wet and we tell them, do not touch here because it is wet. And now the child is in a stage to understand different things, and they want to learn, they want to experience things practically. So they understand that it is wet, and they want to obey you also, because they understand my parents have said me not to touch, so I don't have to touch. But their intrinsic desire to experience, if I will touch, then what will happen? When that desire is strong, irrespective of all our instructions, they do that just to experience. If I touch, then what will happen? So sometimes they do that because they want to learn through their experiences. And this is very important. We should always train them to seek help. Whenever there is something which they cannot resolve by their own, they should always seek help. So from whom to seek help, how to seek help, we should train them properly. It's a very important aspect. So it is not that when they will grow up, they can do everything on their own. Seeking help is for lifetime. In our age, we can see there are so many instances where certain things we cannot control. In those instances, if we know how to seek help, then we can easily deal with those situations. But especially in scenario of our country in present time, most of us has trained ourselves to tolerate and ignore things instead of seeking help and resolving things. Whenever something bad happens to us, we try to tolerate and ignore instead of trying to solve that or trying to deal with that. And many of times it is beyond our control. So we don't train ourselves to seek help, so that if it is beyond our control, there may be someone else who can deal with that situation. But now the scenario is changing, and for future, not only in our country, everywhere in the world, now it is the time of global citizenship. It is very important for us to train our children to seek help and deal with things properly. If anything is bad, they should talk about it. They should accept it. Yes, it is bad and we have to deal with it. It is not that we have to tolerate and ignore. So train them to seek help. Then whenever they approach you for help, make them comfortable. Sometimes when we are busy doing our things and they approach us for some help, we either try to ignore them, or sometimes we even shout on them. And when next time when they are in trouble, they are not encouraged or motivated to ask for help, because when last time they approached us, we have not responded properly. So we should make sure to make them comfortable whenever they approach us for any kind of help. This is very important aspect of training, that children or anyone, even elders, they don't learn in one instance. They want repeated training again and again and again. So in Art of Teaching, Burijan Prabhu also describes repetition. He gives the example that Srila Prabhupada has written same thing again and again and again and again and again in the same book and in different books. So it was very easy for Srila Prabhupada to write in one sentence, but he says the same thing in different ways, in different words, with different examples again and again and again, because this is the principle of teaching. Repetition of the main subject matter that we want to teach. And the last is providing sufficient facilities and resources for their overall physical development, which may include balanced diet, exercise, games, plays, all those things. Okay, so that was about physical abuse. So should we pause here and have discussion, or should we go further with emotional abuse? So emotional abuse includes these of the various things. Verbal abuse like yelling or speaking insulting words or swearing sometimes. And rejection is also emotionally hurting when we reject someone, or ignoring and pretending as if we are not noticing their presence. Then calling them some names, putting them down, or publicly embracing or blaming for everything. Speaking such words which causes fear, making them afraid or intimidated or threatened. Isolation also leads to emotional hurt when we close them in some room or stopping them from contacting other people, limiting their freedom of movement. Sometimes we restrict them to access their possessions. Bullying, of course, bullying is most popular. You know about what is bullying. Purposely and repeatedly saying or doing things that are hurtful or taunting. And then corrupting. If we are encouraging or rewarding unethical or illegal behavior. Exploiting means having expectations beyond their developmental stage. This we have discussed last week also. Parents are always to give, and children are always to receive. If we have expectations to receive from them, that is beyond their developmental stage, then it is exploiting. Judging, interpreting, assuming, concluding, in any relationship, not only with children, in any relationship, these four things: judging, interpreting, assuming, and concluding, they should not be there. And especially in case of children, comparing with other children, it is very hurting them emotionally. We should not compare, or we should not blame or complain about everything. And we should provide all the facilities and resources for their emotional development. If we do not provide, then it is emotional abuse. Any discussion on this? So how to deal with that emotional abuse, how to protect our children from emotional abuse? The three rules of family we have discussed last week. Every member belongs to the family. Who comes first is elder, and love always flows downwards. We apply these three principles or three family rules, then they are emotionally stable. They will be emotionally strong. Then there are two primary rules of psychology. Those, if some of you have studied psychology, you know The first principle of psychology is every individual is unique, and therefore there is no question of comparison, right? If every individual is unique, we cannot compare. So we should understand that our child is also a unique person with his own goods and bads. Everyone has their own baggage, some goods, some bads. And the second principle of psychology is no behavior is random. No behavior is random means if someone is talking to a wall, what do you say? That is a normal behavior? That is an abnormal behavior for us. But for the person who is talking to the wall, for him or her, it is not a abnormal or random behavior because he has a reason to do that. And when he has a reason, it is not a random behavior. As you understand that thieves, they also know that stealing is bad, but they do that because they have reason why to steal. So no behavior is random. Every behavior has some reason behind it that why that person is behaving in that certain way. We do not know the reason, therefore for us it may be a abnormal behavior, but the person has some reason to do that. This applies mostly for our children because when they are small, they do so many things which are irrational according to us, but they have a logic behind what they are doing in their mind, and therefore they are doing it. So instead of saying that whatever you are doing is bad, you should not do it, we should try to understand that why that person, why our child is doing or behaving in that particular way. What is the logic he has behind it? Then we can deal with that situation. Then provide sufficient facilities and resources for their emotional development, love and care, attention, affection, of course, appreciation, respect. As parents, should we respect our children? Of course, why not? We should respect our children. We should trust them. And it is very important that our children have that understanding that we trust them. If we keep blaming and complaining about them every time, they will lose this understanding that we trust them. And when the children understand that our parents don't trust them, then they are not confident in doing anything. They lose confidence because they get this impression that our parents don't trust. So it is an important duty that we should give them an impression that yes, whatever you do, you can share with us and we trust you. So concising these 7 into 2, it reduces to love and attention. Broadly classifying, it can be love, care, affection, attention, appreciation, respect, and trust. But concising in 2, it is love and attention. Whatever they are doing, they have one motive. They want love and attention. That's it. If they are doing something wrong, they know if I will do something wrong, I will get attention. Therefore, they are doing that wrong thing just to get attention. So because as parents, most of the time we give them more attention when they do something wrong rather than giving them attention when they are doing something right. And they have a need for attention, so they start doing more wrong things because they know that if I will do something wrong, I will get more attention. And that is what they want. They want attention. So as parents, we should try to give attention when they are doing something good. We should appreciate about all their good behaviors. And when they will have this feeling that we get attention, we get love when we do something good, then they will repeatedly do it because they have a need for love and attention. Then nonviolent communication, very important subject matter. I have given the link. Bir Krishna Goswami Maharaj has given a seminar on this topic, very detailed, very explanatory, very wonderful. I would suggest whenever you have time, long seminar, but gradually you can learn that not only for our parenting, but for every relationship, it will be helpful. Non-violent or empathic communication. What is empathic communication? How to do that? How to practice? Very important for building relationships. So maybe you can note this link, or I will share on Parent Council Network. From there you can watch. Okay, so I think we should stop here for today. We'll continue next week.